Hare Krishna. So we'll do a small kirtan. Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. 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 Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. 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 Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya-dāsa Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All of you. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Harinama Sankirtanam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Guru Maharaj ki, Nitai Shritanath Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So, can we just repeat some prayers? Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya cha, Nanda Gopakumaraya, Govindaya Namo Namaha, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya cha, Nanda Gopakumaraya, Govindaya Namo Namaha, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya cha, Nanda Gopakumaraya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho, Deenabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hare Priye, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhurbhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. To all the assembled devotees, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. So, before I start, I would like to thank His Grace, Asimananda Krishna Prabhu and His Grace, Shivaguna Krishna Prabhu for giving me this opportunity to talk, rather to glorify Srimad Bhagavad-gita. This month is a very auspicious month. Every month is auspicious month. This month is really auspicious month. Why? Sorry? Yes. Gita Jayanti is going to be celebrated this month. Bhagavad Gita is very important for all of us because it's the rule book of humanity. Lord Krishna, although gave Srimad Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, it is actually meant for all the living entities to implement the standards. Standard operating manual or standard operating procedure. So today we will be covering Karma Yoga chapter number 3. So we will be covering verse number 3.35. So we will recite the sloka, then we will read the word to word meaning, synonyms and the purport of Srila Prabhupada. We will pay our humble obeisances. Then we will cover some of the key elements of chapter number 3, and then we will dwell into the specifics of the sloka. So we will repeat the sloka. So we'll go through word by word, and then we will go through the complete sloka. Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharmat Swa Anustitat Swadharme Nidanam Shreyaha Paradharmo Vayavaha Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmat Swa Anustitat Swadharme Nidanam Shreyaha Paradharmo Vayavaha. Shreyan, far better. Swadharmaha, one's prescribed duties. Vigunaha, even faulty. Paradharmat, than duties mentioned for others. So anushtitat, perfectly done. Swadharme, in one's prescribed duties. Nidanam, destruction. Shreyaha, better. Paradharmat, duties prescribed for others. Bhayavaha, dangerous. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than others' duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in others' duty, for to follow others' path is dangerous. Please repeat after me. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Okay, I would like any new devotee to kindly read the purport. Anyone who's okay? Balaji Naidu, please read this purport. Slowly, no worries. Slowly and loudly.
One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness, rather than those prescribed for others. Materially, prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychological condition, under the spell of the modes of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. When one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness is non-violent, whereas a Kshatriya who is in the mode of passion is allowed to be violent. As such, for Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of non-violence. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana or the Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as a Brahmana, whereas Parasurama was a Brahmana, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya. Being transcendentally situated, they could do so, but as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. Thank you.
Very bol. Give a big round of applause for this very nicely read purport of Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Let's pay our humble obeisances. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Shri Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamakyam Swadati Padantikam Vandekam Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Rita Shri Kamvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya-nanda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Based on the teachings of His Divine Grace Vaicharanaravindha Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, we are going to be covering 3.35. So, if somebody is going to ask you, which is the turning point sloka of the Bhagavad-gita, what would that be? Which sloka is considered to be the turning point of the Bhagavad-gita? Okay. Okay, that's an important sloka, which is a turning point for Arjuna. Okay, that is 2.7. Very nice. Hari bol. Karpanya doshopahata. Let's all recite together. Karpanya doshopahata swabhavaha pritchami tvam dharma sammoda chetaha yashreyaha ruhitam me shishyaste aham sadimam tvam prapannam. So, Arjuna was always considering Krishna as his Sakha. Who's a Sakha? A friend. And the relationship that Arjuna had with Krishna was that of a friend. And it was a loving friendship. So Krishna and Arjuna used to eat on the same plate. They used to, be together all the time. And the relationship was so personal in nature. And the war was declared Senayor Ubayor Madhye. So he requested Krishna to take him right in the middle of the battlefield. And looking at all his relatives, Arjuna became completely bewildered. He was unable to proceed further because he is going to be fighting against his own relatives, friends, cousins, etc., etc. At that point of time, Arjuna was completely confused as to what his duty is. Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and what is the duty of the Kshatriya? Is to fight, right? For establishing dharma, right? So here now Arjuna is completely confused about his duty, and he has lost all his composure. He has lost all his composure. He is not able to think in a straightforward manner. Whenever any decisions are made in life, can we do it when we are in anxiety? Suppose we are angry from a work perspective in a corporate environment. They say when you are angry, never compose an email. Right? Why? When we are angry and when we compose an email, definitely it will backfire on us. So what? It is advised. When you are angry, compose your email but keep it in draft. Go, step out. If you have a nice garden outside your office building, take a walk, take a deep breath, have some warm water, come back to your seat, and again when you look at your computer, you will have a completely different perspective. I have had this experience many a times. When I get angry, of course now I don't get angry so much compared to what it used to be 15-20 years back. 15-20 years back, when I get angry, it used to be a kind of a nervous breakdown for me. Thanks to Krishna consciousness and to all the devotees, to Srila Prabhupada, to our Guru Maharaj, and to all the great Vaishnavas, our senses are completely calmed down. And even if we are in such situation where we should get angry, we actually try and smile. And they'll be thinking, this person is not getting angry, he is smiling. So Arjuna is completely bewildered, he is very confused, and he says it is because of his miserly weakness. And at this condition, whenever we are in a trouble, whenever we are bewildered, whenever we are confused, whenever we are anxious, we approach somebody who is knowledgeable, who has wisdom, who has that maturity, and we go to them and say, look, I am in a problem. Can you please guide me? Can you please help me? Right? Because I am not able to make a decision. All of us have gone through this in our lives, and we continue to keep going through this in our life. And this is what we do when we reach a particular stage of life. We do it for some of the young people, right, who approach us for any suggestions. So now the situation completely flips from a Saka to a Sishya, S to S, from a Saka to Sishya. So Arjuna is pleading to Lord Krishna, I am completely surrendered unto you. Please consider me as your disciple. This is considered to be the turning point of Bhagavad-gita. Normally, when we think that we can do, does Krishna interfere? Right? Why? He'll say, full free will. If you feel that you can do, please go ahead and do. But if you tell Krishna, I am incapable, I am not able to do anything, can you please help me? He will say, of course. But everything comes with a price. Right? You can't simply call. He cannot be a order serving servant. We have to have that engaging relationship. Then Krishna says, okay, you are definitely somebody who is in my radar. I will definitely help you. So if you have the relationship, if you have that bond, if you have that love and devotion towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is definitely there to reciprocate. Ye yatamam prapatyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. He is ready to reciprocate. So this is considered to be the turning point. Then after this, Krishna starts giving certain instructions, and one very, very important instruction. Let us all recite together. Dure nahi avaram karma buddhi yogha dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvicha kripana falahetava. So here Krishna is telling Arjuna, keep all your abominable actions far away by the process of Buddhi Yoga. So he says, apply your intelligence. Who is considered to be the most intelligent person? Sorry? Who is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Right? The person who is completely surrendered is the one who is completely intelligent. And here, from a contextual perspective, Krishna is actually trying to establish the supremacy of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkama. Kama is what? Desire. Nish means what? Without. No desire. Don't have any desire, which is considered to be better than anything called Karma Kanda, which is actually, I give you something, I want something more. I will give you 2 bananas and I want 2-bedroom apartment. Right? We all sometimes engage like that. We give something very trivial but want the entire world. Right? That is how it is. So Krishna is saying here, you ignore this Karma Kanda, what is mentioned in Karma Kanda, which is actually has got fruitive actions and fruitive results. Focus on Nishkama Karma Yoga. But what did Arjuna think? Arjuna thought, oh, Krishna is talking about Buddhi Yoga, which is actually my retirement plan. I think I can happily be in Krishna consciousness and just be in a secluded place. I need not go and fight. As it is, I don't want to fight with my relatives. And he's got this completely opposite to what Lord Krishna was trying to communicate. But the good thing that Arjuna did was, whenever you are in doubt, you have to consult. Is everybody with me? Yes. I know that today is Ekadasi and some of you are Nirjala, and I can see that you are on Yoga Nidra also. So kindly bear with me for 45 minutes. Try to be a bit attentive because it is a very important sloka. So here Arjuna was in doubt and obviously he consulted Krishna, can you please tell me what exactly do you mean? And from this point onwards, chapter 3 talks about so many beautiful aspects which Krishna is actually trying to answer to this particular aspect of what is my duty, what is Karma Yoga, what is Buddhi Yoga, what action I should do, what I should not do, what is Karma Kanda, etc., etc. So we have come a long way in chapter number 3. We have covered 34 slokas and all of you are experts. Yes? Yes or no? No. All of you know something of chapter 3 at least, right? So what I thought, it will be a kind of a refresher class today in terms of identifying some of the important concepts that we have learned so far. So some of the key points that we have read so far in the journey of the last 34 slokas under chapter 3 are as follows. Karma. We have discussed at length on karma. Then we have spoken about desirelessness, without having any desire. Then Swadharma, we are going to cover today. Swadharma. Then who has to be a leader? What are a leader's attribute? How he should lead by example. Because today in the modern corporate environment, leadership is a big subject to discuss, right? And once Shivaguna Prabhu also mentioned about servant leadership, how the dynamics have completely changed. 20 years back, 15 years back, leader means he will show his authority. He will be a bit tough. But today, things are completely changed. A leader has to be subservient even to his subordinates. He has to motivate them. He has to encourage them and get the work done accordingly. This rude behavior, in terms of being very harsh, all those things will not work under the current environment, especially when we are dealing with the young professionals of today's day and age, right? So leadership. In fact, if you see what I've understood, I've been going through this Bhagavad-gita so many times, just trying to understand what. But it's actually a management science. Yes, Prabhuji, it's a management science. How to deal? See, one might think, oh, this is a spiritual science. Yes, it is a spiritual science. But at the same time, it has got a flavor of management science in terms of how you manage your life, how you manage your affairs. And Arjuna was in such a tough situation right in the middle of the battlefield. And just imagine if somebody is going to give you advice 5 minutes before your fight, you think you will have even the mind to hear, but Krishna gives it and Arjuna accepts it. So that is the beauty. Because tomorrow you might say, oh, Krishna, you have given Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna in a very cozy palace environment, right? But are we all in a palace environment? We have to go do our work. We have to have work in the kitchen. We have to manage our children. We have to give them, we have to teach them the homework. We have to do their assignments. We have to go to Lulu hypermarket to buy vegetables. We have to do this. We have to plan our cooking activities, etc., etc. We would have definitely said, it's easy for Krishna to advise Arjuna, and we would have probably not bothered to, accept Bhagavad-gita seriously. But actually, on the other hand, since Krishna has given Bhagavad-gita in the most stressful environment of Arjuna, we can at least relate to that. Yes? We go through stress every time, right? All the time, right? So, it is actually a practical spiritual science. At the same time, it is also a practical management science. So, that is about leadership. Then comes about sacrifice. We all talk about sacrifice all the time. Who is the beneficiary? Who is the beneficiary of all sacrifice? Lord Vishnu, right? Then glory of bhakti. Glory of bhakti. Then ownership and detachment, and learned versus ignorant. So these are some of the concepts that we have read so far in various slokas. So we will spend the next half an hour to quickly go through what we have learnt, and then we will get into the sloka that we are going to cover today. So is everybody ready? Is everybody ready? Yes. Okay, great. Karma. What is karma? Sorry? Activity. Okay. What else? Ella in karma, they'll say, no? Right? If anything goes wrong, we blame it on karma. But actually, who is the karanakarta of karma? We ourselves. But we don't want to acknowledge that. Right? It is misquoted. Karma, the word karma is generally misquoted. We don't want to acknowledge our deficiency, but want to blame somebody else for whatever we are going through. So the best thing to do is, let us lead a life. This life, let us lead it in a perfect way, so that we don't have to enjoy the karma in our next birth. So this birth is actually a plan for the next birth. And if you are into bhakti, you need not even worry about your next birth, because you can have nice time with Lord Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, going back to Godhead. Okay, karma. So when we talk about karma, there are several meanings, and the three popular meanings that are mentioned in the various purports of Prabhupada is, one is that karma is action. Then it is reaction for an action, or it's a fruitive action which is intended to get a particular result. So there are different meanings that are attributable to the word karma depending on the context. So here Lord Krishna is teaching one fundamental aspect. And what is the fundamental aspect? He says action is inevitable. From the time we are born till we die, we have to continue to do activities. Yes or no? Is there anything? Has anybody here who, I'm sure most of you must have taken an ECG, right? At some point of time in your life. How does the ECG look? It's ups and downs are there, no? Our life is also like that. If there is going to be a straight line, what does it mean? That means gone case. We don't want to be a gone case. So Krishna is giving us that strength. He's given all these spiritual practices is to actually have the emotional strength. So first is, like Prabhuji mentioned, Shivagana Prabhu mentioned in one of the classes, first is everything started with what? IQ. Then came EQ. Then now it is SQ, spiritual quotient. So a lot of leadership programs, they imbibe the concept of Bhagavad-gita in that, so that we can understand that there is somebody who's completely beyond this material realm, and that power is Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness, is what we have to understand. So Lord Krishna says action is inevitable. Then Krishna goes to say that perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. If you are going to be just sitting, there is some work that is happening. And what is that? We are sitting now. All of you are sitting. There is one work that is happening. What is that? We are breathing. We are breathing, right? That is also an activity, right? We cannot say that I will not do any activity. Then we have to understand three things. What are the three things? What is action? What is forbidden action? And what is inaction? So action actually refers to the activities that are approved by the Vedic injunctions, and which is generally we call it as a karma kanda, where we perform activities with a tinge of devotion, but it has an expectation. So that is under karma kanda. We want some results to accrue as a result of our activity. That is the first aspect, which is called as karma. Then comes vikarma. Vikarma are those activities which are forbidden, which are actually not acceptable and not agreed by the Vedas or Vedic injunctions. Such prohibited actions will lead to bad reaction. So that is called the vikarma. The third one is akarma. Akarma is totally for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmati anavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. Bhakti uchyate. Uchyate uttama. Uchyate. So here anya abhilashita shunyam. I don't have any other desires for my own gratification. I want to completely serve the Supreme Lord. Who are the best examples for this? Who are the best examples for this? Gopis. Haribol. Gopis. They only want to serve Krishna all the time. And they say, we don't want anything. So we have such good examples where they want to completely, they are doing activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Then comes inaction in action and action in inaction. So it took me almost a year to understand what inaction in action means and what is action in inaction means. Okay, and the first time I thought there was some printing mistake here. But then only as we progress, as we keep reading Prabhupada's purports, we get to understand what exactly this means. Basically, in simple layman's language, inaction in action means there is no reaction even if there is action. You can continue to do the activities, but nothing will accrue as a result of that action. And what is action in inaction? Action in action means there is reaction even if there is no activity. So here Prabhupada, beautifully he has used certain terminologies like Sanskrit. One word can have several meanings, right? This is some English words which have different meanings. So one is no reaction even if there is action, and other one is reaction even if there is no activity. So in the first case, we can see Arjuna is fighting on the instructions, or rather he is fighting for Krishna. He is doing a service because Krishna has come here for what? To establish dharma. So he is one of the instrument to do this particular activity of fighting, being a Kshatriya. So if you are acting on behalf of the Supreme Lord, nothing is going to accrue as a result of this activity. But the so-called yogis, okay, who have renunciants, if I can put it that way, who actually have renounced without a tinge of bhakti yoga, what's going to happen to them? They are going to have so many desires. They might think, oh, if I had not come to this, I should have been very comfortable in my house, in the AC room, nicely sleeping. Now I have to sleep on a flat surface. If I would have been in my house, I would have had some nice things to eat. But here, I have to eat only some fruits and roots. So, if your desire actually is not actually coinciding with your actual activity, that means although you might not be doing any work, you are going to get the result or reaction for those particular activities, including desires. So this is actually the terminologies that we have seen. Then karma yoga. Karma yoga is nothing but we are going to link our action towards the Supreme. We are actually connected to the process which has got a spiritual essence. So when you add yoga, yoga means connection, right? When karma yoga, when you do an activity and dovetail it for Krishna, then it becomes karma yoga. So no attachment is equal to no entanglement. So there are two words here in red. What is that? Desire and reside. So if you see, there are common letters in both the words. Yes or no? So when you have desire, that means you will have to have a residence in the material world, in one of the 8.4 million species that are there. So if you have desire, you have to reside. So if you don't have desire, then automatically you need not reside in this material world, is what Krishna is trying to explain. Work without any attachment. Then comes the next part, which is called the desirelessness. What is desirelessness? Nishkama karma, no kama, no desire for ourself. So selfless service is what is expected here. So whatever activity that we perform, suppose we are all working in an organization, we have to consider this as a blessing of Krishna. And in this material world, it is going to be completely different. It's going to be difficult for us to, whatever salary we get, to put it in completely for devotional service. But at least have some gratitude that Krishna, it is because of you, I am in a proper job. So I want to earmark some of my funds for the service of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. So if we have that consciousness over a period of time, we are not going to be expecting something in return out of the activity that we are performing. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbur mate sangotsava karmani. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkama, which means he has no desire for self-interest. So this doesn't come overnight. It's a gradual process. It is an organic process. So more and more we understand that the ultimate owner is who? Is Krishna. Our activities can automatically be structured in that manner. Because now what is happening, if we are going to be in a bodily platform, we think all our actions, all our activities are in that particular thought process. So that is the aspect relating to Nishkama karma. So Nishkama karma versus Sakama karma. So in Nishkama karma, it's actually selfless service. In Sakama karma, it is actually desire to get personal gains or personal results. So Sakama karma binds one of the cycle of birth and death, and because of the karmic reactions that come as a result of Sakama karma. Now let's move to the next part, Swadharma. What does Swadharma mean? Swadharma means one's own duty. They say no, mind your business. Have you heard? Many times, right? This is exactly what that means. You have to mind your business. Whatever business you have been entrusted in, you do that business. Instead of minding your own business, if you mind some other's business, even if you are good at it, Krishna says, this is not acceptable. That is actually the theme of today's sloka that we are going to cover. So, Swadharma refers to one's duty or the duties prescribed as per our Varna and Ashrama. So, one should perform their own duty, even if it is done imperfectly. There are chances that you might do your prescribed duty imperfectly. Now, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He did not, when he saw his relatives, when he saw his grandfather, his guru and his cousins, although he is multidextrous, he is called as Savya Sachi. He is such a great warrior, right? But his confidence level completely came down. So, Krishna says, suppose if you lose the war, what will happen? What will happen? You will come back to me. And if you win the war, you are going to rule. So, in both the situations, you are going to gain. Win-win situation. There's nothing for you to lose. That's what Krishna is trying to educate Arjuna. But Arjuna, what he says, I will take out my Kshatriya role and let me take probably a Brahmana role or a mendicant, sannyasi. I will be in one corner. I will do some whatever activities which is completely against his prescribed duties. So Krishna is saying, no, this is not acceptable. So there are 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. So which are the 4 Varnas? Brahmana. Who are the Brahmanas? Who are the intellectual people and priests. And one more thing, these Varna and Ashrama is not this Varna is not as per birth. It's actually a quality. It's a quality that you imbibe, right? So that is something that we have to understand. So a doctor is there, a very famous doctor, okay? His son also wants to be a doctor. Can he become a doctor? Not always. So what he has to do to become a doctor? He has to go through the formal education. He has to finish his MBBS, then he has to do his MD, etc. for him. Just because my father is a doctor, can I say that without effort I can also become a doctor? It doesn't work. So that is what that we have to understand here. This Varna is based on the quality that you want to imbibe, and it is not by birth. So we have Brahmanas, who are the intellectual people. Kshatriyas are the warriors and the administrators. Vaishyas are the merchants and the farmers. And Shudras are the laborers or service providers. But in Kali Yuga, everybody is a Shudra. All of us have to work, right? We have seen that we keep serving everybody. Somebody you have to serve. Yes or no? Why can't that person be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? We have to have some self-introspection. We have been serving somebody, some person whom we even do not like to serve sometimes. But we are serving, right? But if we serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is going to happen? We are going to definitely be assured of one place. Where? Place in Goloka Vrindavan. So that is how we have to dovetail our thought process, our actions, our mind. If we are not going to be relying on the intelligence, and if you are going to be only listening to Man Ke Baat, what will happen? If you only listen to Man, what will happen? You will become a monkey. Monkey. So intelligence has to overpower the mind for us to be guided in the right path. And we have 4 ashramas: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, which is actually 4 stages of life. So there's a very nice quote by His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu: the shoe that fits one person bites the other. This is exactly what is getting conveyed in Swadharma. Just because one shoe is looking very nice, and if we put that shoe, it may not really fit you. If it's going to be of a smaller size, it is definitely going to bite you. So it's better to choose a shoe which fits you and not bites you. So here, as distinct individuals, we all have a particular activity, and more from a material perspective, we have to carry out certain activities which are prescribed. So if we do not want to do that vocation and we want to challenge that, definitely Krishna disapproves this whimsical change, like what has happened in the case of Arjuna. So don't imitate others, but be true to yourself. Next aspect is on leadership. So we have to always lead by example. Yad yad acharati sheshtas tat tat evataro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokastat anu vartate. So everybody looks at the leader, and depending on how the leader conducts himself or herself, we want to follow. From our own perspective, we have so many leaders in our Sangha. So when we look at somebody like Srila Prabhupada, we definitely, even if we are able, we can't imitate Srila Prabhupada because definitely we cannot imitate him. But if we follow his instructions, if we follow the instructions of our spiritual master, when we follow the instructions of so many Maharajas who are there, definitely our path is going to be good. And they show exemplary what? Leadership skills, if I can call it, and which we'll be able to imbibe. And when the leader is not performing the actions properly, then the people who are following also can err on the wrong side. So to be a leader, it is very important because he has to set the right example, and he has to be a great personality, and we can follow such personalities and act in a righteous manner. Then comes sacrifice. What is sacrifice? Sacrifice is any activity that we dovetail to Lord Vishnu, that actually he becomes the beneficiary. And such sacrifice, we don't have any kind of bondage. And when we try to satisfy Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, so he is the ultimate beneficiary, he is the owner, and any activity that is done towards satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, we don't have any bondage, and we can remain free of such bondage. That is considered as sacrifice. So here the first aspect is, when we actually do a particular activity as a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, it is very clear that it is not binding on us. It is not binding on us. At the same time, when we actually perform an activity which does not satisfy Lord Vishnu, then what happens? That causes bondage. We are actually into a complete situation of Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadi. And when such activities, when we perform for Lord Vishnu under the guidance of a spiritual master, then what happens? We can actually develop loving relationship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prema Bhakti can happen only through the process of instruction that is given by our spiritual master. And then once we develop Prema Bhakti, we have a good chance to go back to Godhead. And when we are actually carrying out activity not as a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, then we are going to be born in this material world, and depending on the type of activity we perform, either we get a good birth or we fall below the standard of a human, which is we can be born either as an animal or a plant or as a reptile or other aquatics. And Atato Brahma Jignasa, the process of inquiry, the process of realization, the process of what we are here for, that chance is lost when we are going to go below the level of humans. So out of 8.4 million species, only 400,000 relate to human. Others are all, we have different other species that are there. And if you are born in other such species, the chances of inquiry is completely lost. And if we don't have an opportunity to inquire, can we progress? We are going to be in the same place. If not, we are going to go down. So that risk is there if we don't follow such activities in the prescribed manner. Then comes glory of bhakti. So here we always talk about costless mercy. What is costless mercy that we are talking about? What is costless mercy? Sometimes we are not eligible for the mercy, but we still get the mercy. And how is that possible? Through the blessing of our Acharya, through our spiritual master. What is the sloka? Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoi. Where even if we have one moment of association with a sadhu, there is a chance that our life can be transformed. Yes or no? Are we all so great people that we got an enlightenment and joined ISKCON, or to be in Krishna consciousness? If we look back, if we do a self-introspection, we will know how pathetic we were. At least I am talking about myself, right? How pathetic I have. And I have got a lottery. What lottery? Krishna consciousness. I was not really eligible for, but because of one colleague who introduced me to Krishna consciousness, today I am sitting in the Vyasasana. This Vyasasana, lot of great personalities have sat, and persons like me, abominable characters are sitting in the Vyasasana is only because of costless mercy. So this is something that we always have to consider. Every one of us who are sitting here is because of one person who has taken care about you, and that is why we are here. And the first thing that we do when we come to Krishna consciousness is what? Eating prasadam. And by eating prasadam, our life is actually transformed. Today I am not going to talk about gulab jamun. Okay, I'll talk about rasagulla. The rasagullas and the cakes that we have had has actually caused a very positive transformation. So this costless mercy is there, and we have to acknowledge it and understand it. So unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature. So here we are seeing the importance of bhakti. Here we have seen in Bhagavad-gita there are 3 compartments, as all of you know. The first 6 chapters talk about karma yoga, the last 6 chapters talk about jnana yoga, and what is kept right in the middle is bhakti yoga. But although bhakti yoga is right in the middle, the influence of bhakti yoga is there in the jnana yoga and karma yoga. Independently it doesn't exist. It is actually a part of the complete body of bhakti yoga. They are only parts of it. Sometimes when you have to reach the 10th floor, you have 2 options. Either you can take the steps or you can take the elevator. Bhakti yoga is like taking the elevator. But having said that, you have to put an effort. That's why Srila Prabhupada defines devotion, bhakti, as devotional service and not devotion. People think that devotion means just sitting and just doing some puja here and there, and that's the end of story. But here the emphasis of service is there, because we have to dovetail our energy towards activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next part is ownership and detachment. So, what is the thing? You have seen this is a till, right? What does the till have? Dollars or money, whatever money. So the person, the cashier, keeps counting the money day in and day out. Several hundreds of thousands he counts. Can he take ownership of it? If he takes ownership of it, what happens? He will be counting, not the currency, something else. Right? So that is exactly our situation also. This whole Brahman, this whole creation, the owner of this creation is Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Krishna says, the material world and the spiritual world emanates from me. He is the Karana Karta. Ishvara Paramakrishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. So he is the one who has it is everything he owns. But what we do? We want to take ownership. And when we start taking ownership, we become thieves. And when we become a thief, what will happen? Will you get good karma or bad karma? We will get bad karma. That is what Krishna is explaining here. So, a cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but nothing belongs to him. Nirmama. Nirmama. Mama means mine. Nirmama means not mine. So we have to understand this is not belonging to me. So similarly, any activity that we do or any possessions that we have, we cannot say it belongs to me. It belongs to Krishna. We should not say my house. It is Krishna's house. So everybody, there's a request from my side. All of you are living in various apartments. Give a nice Krishna's name or Balram's name or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name, to your house, and don't say come to my house. Come to Goloka Vrindavan. Come to Gokula. Come to Vrindavan. Come to Dwaraka. Come to Mathura. Come to Mayapur. So, give such names so that you will be clearly, your thought process comes, this is not my house. This is not my wife. This is not my son. Everything is actually given as Krishna's mercy to us. And we have to show that gratitude. To say that nothing belongs to me, Krishna, everything belongs to you. And because of your costless mercy, I am able to enjoy certain things, although I do not deserve it. So this is about the ownership and attachment. Then comes learned and the ignorant. So who is an ignorant person? An ignorant person who is not in Krishna consciousness. The beautiful sloka, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavanman Prapatyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatmasu Durlabaha. So we have to understand that the most intelligent person who is actually, he is in Krishna consciousness, because he knows the true reality of the self and he is self-realized, or he is trying to be self-realized. So ignorant people cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Krishna advises not to disturb. That is his clear verdict in Bhagavad-gita. But the devotees are more compassionate than Krishna. So what they do? They take Krishna's message all over. Especially book distribution. This is a month of what? Book distribution. One book, one Krishna book, one Bhagavad-gita book, one Chaitanya Charitamrita, one Srila Prabhupada's book can actually transform your life. His Holiness Bhaktivika Swami Maharaj, once when he was young, he went to his friend's house and there was Krishna book. He just opened the Krishna book. He liked it so much. He read the entire book, and today, you see, he's a great Maharaj, great sannyasi, and he has written so many books on Krishna consciousness. So we never know what can actually cause transformation in our life. And a person is knowledge of the absolute truth. Tattvavit, understand that he is separate from the senses and sense objects and does not engage in sense gratification. And he does all the work in devotion and he does not work for fruitive results. That is the difference between ignorant person and a knowledgeable person. So what does Socrates say in this regard? Socrates says, I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing. This should be our state of affairs also. If we know 10 slokas, we think that we are eligible for doctorate in Krishna consciousness. That's not the approach. There was one person. There was one small child. I heard this lecture very recently, and the mother wanted the child to go for tuition, and that child was in grade 6. So that day, what had happened? The teacher was trying to teach geometry, and the teacher drew a triangle and said A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, with various triangles to show some relationship. So the mother comes out and she starts scolding the teacher. My son has studied ABC in LKG. In 6th standard also you are teaching him ABC. So that is not the thing. We have to understand the context of what activity that we are actually performing. Okay? Superficially, what you see is different from actually the reality. So that is the thing. So if you see this beautiful diagram, a difference between a self-realized person and an ignorant person, this person, he is actually violating all the 4 pillars of dharma, which is basically he is drinking, he is eating meat, he is illicit relationship, and he is in intoxication. And the person who is self-realized, who is an intelligent person, what he does, he is actually dovetailing his senses towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whatever activity he is performing, he is doing it without any attachment to the fruitive results, and he is actually setting the right path to others. And the other person, the ignorant person, wants to gratify his senses all the time. And all the today's advancement of technology is okay. On one side, yes, it is certainly helping us in progress in our devotional service, but the damage is actually more than the advantage that accrues. A simple mobile phone can be completely destructive, right? So we have to understand that we have to be intelligent, and when we are intelligent, when we say that we are intelligent, we are completely in Krishna consciousness. Now coming to the last part of the program today. So here, Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharmat Swa Anushtitat Swadharme Nidanam Shreyaha Paradharmo Bhayavaha. So here, the translation is, it is better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous. So Prabhupada here talks about one should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness rather than those prescribed for others. So first thing that we have to understand is, we have to understand what is actually prescribed for you in relation to your varna and ashrama. And based on that, we have to carry out the prescribed activities. Then, even we might think that this may not apply for spiritual activities and only for material activities. But here, Prabhupada says it is applicable for both spiritual activities and material activities. But he is actually mentioning a caveat towards the end of the purport, which we will cover now. So here, but whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death rather than to imitate. So this is something, is a part of which comes with you. You know, when we are born, we are based on your psychophysical characteristic. That particular, you are expected to do certain activities. So you actually follow that till your death. Don't try to whimsically change it in the course of doing something better by looking at somebody else, saying that I will also do much better than a duty which has been prescribed for others. And then duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. So here we are talking about the authority. Here we are talking about the instructions. Sometimes the spiritual master expects us to carry out a particular work, but we say, oh, this particular work is going to be difficult for me, I'll be better in doing some other work. Suppose your spiritual master says that you have to go for book distribution, but you are saying, oh, book distribution is going to be very difficult because I have to be exposed to heat and cold. I will actually sit in a comfortable place and do arti. So is it going to help you? It's not going to help you in your progression, because when your spiritual master is going to be giving you some instruction, it is based on your consciousness, it's based on your characteristic, is what is given to you. And when one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, Brahmana, who's in the mode of goodness, is non-violent. Can you expect a Brahmana to go and fight? Not possible. And can you expect a Kshatriya to not to be aggressive? That is also not going to be possible. However, when one transcends the mode of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything. So here we have to transcend. Can we all in this material world, is it difficult or is it easy to transcend the three modes of goodness, the goodness, passion and ignorance? Very difficult, right? Because we are continuously we are under the influence of mode of material nature. Devi esa gunamayi mama maya durataya. But Krishna says, if you are going to be my devotee, I will help you to come out of these three modes of material nature. But that comes from lot of efforts. It is lot of vairagyas required, and you will have to do continuous effort. Sorry? Abhyasa and vairagya. Yes, you have to be continuously, you have to be at it for you to transcend the three modes of material nature. So then Prabhupada talks about two examples. One of Vishwamitra and other one is of Parashuram. Of course, they are all great personalities. Again, we can't really imitate. So this is basically the sum and substance as to how we have to perform our prescribed duties. And by performing the prescribed duty, there's an opportunity for us to be cleansed, and we can definitely our purpose of understanding the purpose of Krishna consciousness is achieved when we follow the prescribed duties. And for the person who's not following the prescribed duties, then definitely this whimsical change is not going to help him in his progression. And other important thing is we have to act according to the instructions of our spiritual master. So we have pretty much concluded this. So any questions? Any realizations, any feedback, any inputs? Yes. Varnas, yes.
413. What is Lord's opinion about Varna? Chaturvarnya Maya system.
Gunakarma Vibhagasa. You want me to explain that?
You can give the reference 413.
Yeah, 413. Yeah, you can look at the reference of it. Because today in this material age, nobody wants to, they say, your Gita book is discriminatory. You are distinguishing between Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. But we need to have this distinction for the society to operate smoothly. That's why this kind of a system is kind. And moreover, we have discussed, it is not by birth. It is by your quality, by your qualification that is there. That is actually that we can follow. Yes.
Once I heard a lecture from the Srila Prabhupada. So he's explaining one class, so these 4 classes. Then one person asking, Kshatriya, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Then he's asking, so you are in the Brahmana, right? So you are doing this
these activities.
So you are including this. No. So Prabhupada says, no, we are not this in 4, I am the 5th class.
Yeah.
So he's explaining, we are humility. So that is not, we need that humility.
Yes. Certainly. Yes. Below the Shudra class. Yeah, like yeah. Humility, yes.
The people think otherwise we are proud.
Yes, absolutely.
Out of Sadhavana.
Out of our
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
I would like to add one point. Because really, lot of takeaway points are there. So much concepts, whatever we learned throughout this 3rd chapter, as well from beginning. You have taken so much efforts to explain that, so that anybody is listening to this complete class, he may be able to understand the whole concepts in a very nice way. So say in this context also there is Einstein's quote: if you try to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the whole life the fish will think that it is full and stupid. It's like something like that.
Yes.
So everybody has got an unique potential, and if you try to judge a person on if he is trying to do something else which is not his ability, then he will be put under stress. Somebody is good at talking, so he can give a class, but somebody is shy. Then if you tell him, no, you also take class.
Yeah.
He will sit and see wall, ceiling.
Yes.
He will not do it. So it is like everybody has a unique potential. Somebody
Yes.
is good in cooking, somebody is so Krishna likes his variety, and everybody has got a unique potential, and we should always strengthen in what is our potential.
Exactly.
So that we shine better and better. You cannot imitate.
Correct. It's like ability and availability.
Yes, ability and availability.
Yeah.
Suppose we are not good in cooking and we are put in everybody is doing
So
salt.
instead of sugar, we'll put salt.
Salt.
Then gulab jamun will taste salty.
Next time they will not come to the program. So that is one point. And there is also one small story that is like very famous story. They always explain that there was a owner who was having a dog and donkey. For one day night one thief entered. The dog was sleeping. Bindas. But the donkey thought, let me do alert my master. But actually it is dog's job to bark. So to alert. So the donkey started playing in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
To alert. But the dog was sleeping. So he was trying to do the job of the dog. The owner got irritated. Why are you shouting in the middle of the night? He given to the hit.
Beatings.
Sleep quietly. So it is, donkey's job is different. Dog's job is different. So it is like we have to know what is our responsibility and So wonderfully explained, Prabhu. I think everybody understood. Especially all the concepts you explained about karma, vikarma, karma, and also mind's own business, swadharma, and all other like cash, owner, sacrifice, as you said, these are management concepts. And beautifully explained.
Thank you, Guruji.
Only we have to take this
Yes.
and apply it so that we get the true benefit out of hearing this Bhagavad-gita class. So thank you, Prabhu. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful efforts in inspiring and enlightening.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
We would like to express our gratitude to Prabhu by taking the step of the holy name.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Prema.